Hi, everybody. We have been neglecting our Royals and Crimes series, but today I have the feeling we should continue. I think it is the right time for it. Well, as you know, Harry and his mates are currently still embroiled in a number of cases against the British media, the next one to be heard in January 2025. We heard that Harry himself was only hacked about 9 times, and in his case, it was basic downloads of text and voice notes, not listening to private conversations and so forth. I mean, not that it is an excuse or I wish to minimize what happened. It is still disgusting whether it was done once or 155 times, as is the case with Catherine. We also now know that many people were involved and that there were many victims. This is, however, the first time I'm really looking into the case, and one vile character stood out to me over and above anyone else, and his name is Jonathan Rees. Jonathan Rees was born in September 1954 in Doncaster, Yorkshire. Rees left school and joined the Merchant Navy and then became an investigator. In 1984, with partner Daniel Morgan, he set up a detective agency called Southern Investigations in Thornton Heath, Surrey. On the 10th of March 1987, Daniel Morgan's body was found slumped over in his BMW with an axe embedded in his head in the car park of the Golden Lion pub in Sydenham, South London. Detective Sergeant Sid Fillery of the Catford Police Station was assigned the case, and he failed to tell his bosses that he actually moonlighted at Southern Investigations. In April 1987, 6 people, including Detective Sergeant Fillery and Jonathan Rees, Daniel Morgan's business partner, along with Glenn Vine, Gary Vine, and 2 other Met officers, were arrested on suspicion of murder. In 1988, staff from Southern Investigations were called to give evidence, and a man called Kevin Lennon, their accountant, told the court how he saw Rees and Morgan's relationship deteriorate. Lennon told the court that 6 months before the murder, Rees told him that he found a solution to the Daniel Morgan problem. He told Lennon that his mates at Catford Neck were going to arrange it. He told Lennon that the officers were friends of his and will either murder Daniel Morgan themselves or get someone to do it. In July 1988, the case came to a halt when an inquiry into how the case was being handled was launched. In February 1989, Rees and 2 others were again arrested and charged with murder. In May 1989, charges were dropped due to a lack of evidence. Valerie then obtains a medical discharge from the Metropolitan Police and joins Rees as his partner at Southern Investigations. As part of a third inquiry into Daniel Morgan's case, anti-corruption officers from Scotland Yard plant a bug in the Southern Investigations office and unearths a plot by Rees to plant cocaine on an innocent woman so that her estranged husband could get custody of their child. And Rees was once again arrested. But we'll talk about this in a little more detail. We're going to go into a bit of a timeline until we get back to Rees's latest or last arrest. In 2000, Rees is convicted of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice and given 7 years. In 2002, police again used bugs in a suspect's car and Glen Vine's house, after which the Metropolitan Police puts forward evidence on a number of individuals in respect of the murder of Daniel Morgan. But the Crown prosecution refuses to prosecute. Again, police gather a vast amount of evidence, and in April, Rees, the Vine brothers, and James Cook are arrested for Daniel Morgan's murder. In October 2009, legal arguments started in the Old Bailey. The trial judge dismisses a key informant and the prosecution of Villery is stayed. In November 2010, the judge drops a second informant and clears James Cook. In January 2011, a third informant is dropped, and shortly after, the case is pulled. However, after the collapse of the Old Bailey trial in 2011, it is revealed that Rees had earned £150,000 a year from News of the World for supplying illegally obtained information about people in the public eye. Jonathan Rees worked from a dingy office in South London. He lived in a cramped flat. He was divorced, overweight, and foul-mouthed, but the money kept pouring in, for he had hit the jackpot. He traded information. His sources were corrupt. His actions were illegal, but the money kept coming. Although not the only source, News of the World was certainly the golden egg. They paid him, like I said, £150,000 per year for information. Unfortunately for Rees, he had caught the eye of Scotland Yard's Anti-Corruption Command, who suspected that he was paying bribes to various serving officers. They eventually managed to place another listening device in his office. It recorded him gloating about the pay he received from News of the World. Although it is common for journalists to interview and record police officers, but the listening device recorded Rees routinely paying cash directly or indirectly to serving police officers, which is obviously illegal. It was recorded how Detective Constable Tom Kingston collected cash for himself and his mate, who was an intelligence officer involved in the protection of the royal family and other VIPs. It also recorded others like Duncan Hanahan and Martin King. Some of what Rees and Villery sold were indeed mere tittle-tattle. A remark made by Tony Blair about John Prescott, for instance, gossip about the sex lives of Buckingham Palace's servants, but some of the information was indeed highly, highly sensitive. The corruption also did not stop with the police. Customs and excise officers, a corrupt VAT inspector, 2 corrupt bank employees. Rees also hired 2 others, 2 specialist blaggers who tricked their way into phone company records to obtain names and home addresses of subscribers and also itemized phone bills. Rees saw One of his associates also started using Trojan horse software, which allowed them to email a target and then copy the contents of the target's computer's hard disk. The bug also recorded a conversation between a Sunday Mirror reporter and Rees, in which Rees was tasked to get inside Prince Edward and Sophie's bank accounts, which he did twice. Finally, after 6 months of bugging Rees, he finally got nicked. The listening device caught him being hired by a man who was getting divorced and wanted to stop his wife getting custody of their children. Rees immediately had a plan and arranged that yet another corrupt cop, DC Austin Warnes, plant cocaine in the woman's car. In order to stop the plot, Scotland Yard raided Rees and charged him with conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison, which was increased to 7 years on appeal. DC Warnes was sentenced to 4 years. In 2003, Sid Fillery, who was still running the agency, also finally got himself arrested and charged with 15 counts of making indecent images of children and 1 count of possessing indecent images. Of course, there were many others involved in this hacking scandal, but for me personally, Jonathan Rees was the most vile creature of them all. I would even go so far as to say that it is my opinion that he is a habitual criminal, a disgusting human being. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is as far as we are taking it today. We may revisit this hacking scandal sometime in the future. Not sure I will, but it's a possibility because there are still so many avenues, twists and turns where this whole saga is concerned. But we'll see. Okay, I hope that you were well entertained today. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that like button or just plainly subscribe. It is a free way to support me, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you over on the other channel. Bye.